Hello, brothers and sisters. The topic is ready for service, how your life can impact others for the sake of the kingdom and the glory of God. Jesus tells us to let your light shine. People are eager for good news. We need to let our light shine in this dark world. Jesus said, "A city on a hill cannot be hidden." People do not light a lamp and put it under a basket, but they put it on a stand so that it will give light to all in the house. Let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. In many ways, we are all like plants. We need sunlight. We need water. We need soil. And when we are in an environment that provides those things, we can grow. The Apostle Paul tried, wherever he went, to create an environment where people could grow in their faith. Paul was called by God to be an apostle to the Gentiles. While he first went to the Jewish synagogue, he would then often move from the Jewish synagogue to any place where a hearing of the gospel could be had. In Paul's first letter to the Thessalonians, Paul describes his ministry to them. And what he shares in this second chapter of this letter gives us great insight into the attributes of those who are ready to serve. The attributes include matters of accountability, attitudes, and actions. Let's look first at accountability. The Apostle Paul felt accountable to God. This accountability it took the form of a relationship where the Apostle Paul both submitted to God, was aided by God. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 2, Paul says, "But though we had already suffered and been shamefully treated in Philippi, as you know, we had boldness in our God to declare to you the gospel of God in the midst of much conflict." For the Apostle Paul, God provided the boldness. Paul understood that in God we live and move and have our being. Because we are utterly dependent on God, we are ultimately accountable to God. In all of this, we are aided by God. We are also approved by God. The Apostle Paul says, "For our appeal does not spring from error or impurity or any attempt to deceive, but just as we have been approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel, so we speak." This further goes on to the idea that we are tested by God. So we speak not to please man, but to please God, who tests our heart. All of these are aspects of accountability to God. But then there is the matter of attitude. What are the attitudes of a servant of God? Well, first, there is the attitude of a desire to please God. Paul said, "So we speak not to please man, but to please God, who tests our hearts." The second attitude is a readiness to share. So, being affectionately desirous of you, we were ready to share with you not only the gospel of God, but also our own selves, because you had become very dear to us. Paul loved God, and Paul loved the Thessalonians. And this affectionate love to them gave him the readiness to share the gospel and their very lives. Another attitude of those ready to serve is a gentleness of approach. Paul and his companions did not lord it over the Thessalonians, but they say, "But we were gentle among you, like a nursing mother taking care of her own children." In addition to a sense of accountability, and in addition to adopting certain attitudes, someone ready to serve will take certain actions. What were some of the actions that Paul took when he served those at Thessalonica? First of all, he proclaimed boldly. He says, "But though we had already suffered and been shamefully treated at Philippi, as you know, we had boldness in our God to declare the gospel of God in the midst of much conflict." Paul's security was such in Christ, and his knowledge of the gospel was such that he had a boldness to speak the truth, even when being opposed. Another action they took was to encourage steadfastly. Paul says, "We exhorted each one of you and encouraged you and charged you to walk in a manner worthy of God, who calls you to walk in a manner worthy of God, who calls you into his own kingdom and glory." 1 Thessalonians 2:12. Another action is that they lived blamelessly. You are witnesses, and God also, how holy and righteous and blameless was our conduct toward you believers. With all of these actions, Paul was able to impact the Thessalonians richly and deeply, insofar as when Paul had to leave them abruptly, they were able to continue steadfastly in their faith. This whole second chapter of 1 Thessalonians gives an example to us of some ways that we can, in our own unique ministries, shine our lights wherever God may bring us. So we are now called to go serve. Go shine brightly. Shine your light with godly service wherever he has placed you, knowing that you are making a difference in a dark world. Let your light shine so that others may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. May God indeed cause us to shine brightly in this dark world. Grace and peace to you.